There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
I need toothpaste on my face. No. Hello, BookTube. Well, I'm outside. I'm so happy, but I'm also a little bit frustrated because today, perfect weather, and the cicadas are up early. So my usual park over there, I went and got set up, and the cicadas were they weren't as noisy as they could be, but it would have been constant throughout the video, and I think that would just turn you off after a few minutes. So I found this quieter spot. It's for some reason they're not right in these trees. You'll hear them a little bit in the background, but I think it'll be fine. Let's stay positive, shall we? Because I'm so happy to be outside, and the bugs are flying around, and I'm going to try not to pick at the bugs all the while I'm talking, so I will pause to scratch and swat them away and edit those out, so I'm not doing this through the whole Friday Reads, because that's kind of annoying. And so, Sean, start now. I've had a great reading week, so much better than last week. So let's start with what I finished. Earlier this week, I finished the collection of short stories from India, Father May Be an Elephant and Mother Only a Small Basket, but ... by Gogol Shyamala, translated from the Telugu by a bunch of translators. Now that I've read them, I read the names once, and it went okay. My review of this is already up. The translators, there's I think 9. Dia Rajan, Sashi Kumar, A. Sunitha, N. Manohar Reddy, R. Srivatsan, Gita Ramaswamy, Uma Brugubanda, P. Pavana, and Dugirala Vasanta. Almost every story had its own translator. I loved it. It was a 5-star read. It doesn't mean it's a perfect collection. I'm not going to say much more than that. I have a full review that just went up about 12 hours ago. It's not for everybody. The stories have kind of a fable-like quality, and one thing I forgot to mention in the review, which I will say here and then I'll move on, is that the writing is not beautiful. It's translated from a colloquial version of the language Telugu, which is spoken in the Telangana state, Gogol Shyamala's native tongue, but it's more of an oral dialect version of that, and so the translators tried to translate that into English in a way that would represent its kind of earthy, colloquial clunkiness. I might be pulling clunkiness out of my own brain rather than out of anything I read in the afterwards about the translation, but it's fascinating. It held my interest, and if you don't mind a puzzle, I think you would enjoy it too. Not necessarily easy to find online, published in 2012 in English. I finished this Japanese novella by Yuko Tsushima, Child of Fortune, published in English in 2018, translated by the much-missed Geraldine Harcourt, who died this year, and she was so young, 40 maybe. I've just filmed my review of this. I don't think it will be up before the Friday Reads, but stay tuned in a day or two for my review. I loved it. 5 stars. I loved it more than her Territory of Light, which I read last year, and I will never forget this character. That's all I'll say. I couldn't find a full review of this anywhere on BookTube, so I'm going to be a pioneer. It's getting hot. I also finished the novel translated from French from Haiti, The Color of Dawn by Yannick Lyons. I didn't care for it so much. Gave it 3 stars. Translated from the French by Alison Leyland. It wasn't great. It gave me a flavor of what life was like at that time. I think it was published very recently in the 2010s. In Port-au-Prince, Haiti. It didn't make any reference to the earthquake, so maybe set before that. But Haiti was such a sad place before that. And it's described with all that sadness and violence, and centered on one family, and the son goes missing. The whole novel is about what happened to him, why didn't he come home last night, and various members of the family, the mother and a sister, and I never did figure out whether it was an aunt or a sister, another sister of hers, because each chapter was told first person, and you had to really pay attention, and I didn't after a while because I wasn't really enjoying it, so I didn't get clear on who the other two women in the house were. I think one might have been an aunt and one was a sister. I think that's probably what it was. I got a clear sense of what their life was like, and it wasn't pretty. How much they loved each other, and it was a complicated family dynamic. And there were some clues about where the brother was, but it didn't have there was a pacing problem in that it was more about kind of building the world than telling a story. So it didn't really hold my interest. I finished it because I had never read any translated work by a Haitian writer. So this was for Women in Translation. A month. The writing was okay, but a bit overdone. It had a musicality to it, so that kept me going. Other people might like it better than me. I did finish, and I would definitely try a later work by the same writer because there was evidence of certainly a literary talent, but this one didn't really work for me. I read it on Scribd. You can check it out there for free if you're a member. So those are the ones I've read. Pretty positive, right? 2 5 stars and 1 not so much. I have started a bunch. First off, I have started The God of Small Things by Aaron Daddy Roy. This is a buddy read with Maggie from Australia, my Litzy friend. March Payne on Litzy and elsewhere. I think I'm going to end up loving it, and I have loved significant chunks of it, but there's other aspects of it that I'm not enjoying at all, so I'm not sure how it's all going to shake out. There's things that are really annoying me and did from page 1. There's like a 19th century, that 19th century or earlier tendency to capitalize common nouns, and that happens like several times on each page, and that just is so boring and stupid, I think. I don't know what she thought she was doing with that. And also to put adjectives and nouns together in one word with no hyphen, and that happens several times on each page, and that just drives me bonkers. Really turns me off. More deeply, there is kind of an offhandedness to the way much of this story is told that is keeping me very distant from the characters. But then there are other chunks, and this is the part that I'm loving, where Roy does that blending of the horrific politics and the personal lives of her characters, and just pulls you right in to that part of the narrative Venn diagram, and I can barely breathe. Those passages, those chunks of the story are so intense. But it's been a bit of a mixed bag. I think I'm ultimately going to love it. I know it's going to get really probably violent and very, very tragic. That I would be surprised if it didn't, and that usually works for me. So I'm optimistic. My first check-in on chapter 1 with Maggie I was a little bit ambivalent, and then the second chapter I was very sucked in, and now I'm reading chapters 3, 4, and 5. And all this weird stuff. Why is it so weird? If a story is unnecessarily weird, I pull back from it. The late Toni Morrison, I thought that her novel Song of Solomon was fatally flawed by the weirdness of the storytelling. And I know that that's a minority opinion on that novel, but I deeply disliked it. And may she rest in peace. But this one, I'm not sure. I'm hoping that there will be a through line where I can hang on to that emotional intensity and forget about the surface annoyances. Wish me luck. I think that her writing in The Ministry of Utmost Happiness was 1,000 times better. The writing in places here is good. I've had some quotable sentences. My Sunday sentence was from this. But there's also just weird passages where I'm thinking, what was she thinking? Like, does she care about any of this, or is this a joke? Like, the tone shifts, and a lot of those shifts don't work for me. So I've said more negative than positive, but the positive was deeply positive, so fingers crossed. I have started the story collection Bobcat and Other Stories by Rebecca Lee. This is a buddy read with Joe Smith, and we read the first story only, and we're going to read this at a glacial pace, like no more than a story a week, so I won't finish this up until next month. I loved the first story, the title story, and I didn't ask Joe's permission. I'll just say that she didn't. which gave me pause to think, why did I like it, or why didn't I dislike the things that she didn't? But no, it really worked for me. So we'll carry on with that. The writing's good. Enough said, I think. I have started and I'm almost finished One Fine Day, the novella by Molly Panter Downs, published in 1947. And I'm not going to say one word about this because I am meeting Cousin of Always Doing tomorrow, and we're going to film a blind discussion where we don't know how each other feels about it. Ange and I did a review like that when Ange was in Japan. So stay tuned for that. I don't know when it will go up, but until it's published, you won't find anything on our Goodreads about, or any commentary anywhere on social media about whether we liked it or not. We're going to keep each other in suspense until we press record on the video, and then we'll keep all the rest of you in suspense until the video goes live. I will finish this today. Oh, let me just say that I did read another 10 pages of this that I'd put on the shelf for a couple months, Tan Tuan Eng's The Garden of Evening Mists, and I did get sucked right back into the story, so I will continue with it and hopefully finish it in September. So that is another one that I restarted. Do I need a fourth component of my Friday Reads to talk about what I've restarted? Maybe. So that's what I've started. No bails this week. Oh my God. I'm not sure how I'm going to maintain my booktube persona with no bails. And I have 2 buddy reads starting in the next week that I'm really excited about, and I didn't bring either one. I was so excited that the sun was shining when I left my house at 6:45 or whatever that I thought I had all the books, but no, the 2 big books I don't have, so you're going to have to deal with gifts. One is Ohio by Stephen Markley, a buddy read with Ollie Bliss, but Ollie and I haven't done a buddy read for a few months, so I'm really looking, because the last one, I think I bailed on him or something. And I love buddy reading with Ollie, so I'm really looking forward to that. I think I'm going to try it as an audio text combo, but I don't think I've sampled the audiobook, so I may just do it. I'm kind of getting away from audiobooks unless they're 19th century novels or earlier from the UK. And then also in the coming week, I'm starting the American novel The Gypsy Moth Summer by Julia Fierro, one that nobody on BookTube has ever talked about it. I haven't done a thorough search, but it's not a book that I've seen on social media very much, although I originally found it there and put it on my TBR. So this is will be a buddy read with Britta Bowler and Ange of Beyond the Pages. So I'm looking forward to diving into that one. So those 2 starting. And then I did bring the other books that are not buddy reads that I'm planning to start, since I have cleared away a lot this week. Finished 3 books, and we'll finish a 4th tomorrow. Is this novel from Wales, Moston Thomas. Sorry, now the cicada is right above me, but I'm almost finished, people. You can turn the volume down and just look at the book covers if you want, because I'm moving again. I've already moved once from the other park, and then this is my second try in this little parkette. So, this is a 2018 novel from Wales by Richard Williams, Moston Thomas and the Big Grave, about a Welsh farmer. I don't think he's really old. I don't know how old he is. I'll find out soon. Who is barely making ends meet, which is a theme of farming novels from Wales, I'm gathering. And so he decides to supplement his income by hosting raves on his farm. So that's the story. Sounds interesting. Thank you. And I'm planning to start Embers by Sandor Marai. And one of my subscribers, I can't remember who, said he or she absolutely loved this. Oh, I keep putting my hand on this poor woman's face. This is not a dig at Doris, but I see on her channel that she has completely finished reading this short story from the Faber 90 series, Claire Keegan's The Forester's Daughter. I haven't received her first video yet. I'm in no hurry, Doris, but whenever I do, I'll start reading this at that point. Take your time, darling. Another book, I didn't count it as a bail. I just read about maybe a total of 20 pages, skipping from the first chapter to later chapters, of that Chinese novel that I was going to try, The Song of Everlasting Sorrow, a novel of Shanghai by Wang Anyi, translated by Michael Berry and Susan Chan Egan. I didn't like it. It was one of those novels, and I have this trouble with a lot of modern Chinese fiction, not all, where the characters aren't as important as like the setting or the history, and the history is kind of rendered on the page in a people-free way. So that 700-page novel started with a description of a neighborhood without mentioning any characters' names and just talking about it in almost like a sociological way. The writing was good, but I flipped ahead and the first several chapters were like that before any characters started to kind of surface out of that, and that is not my kind of novel. So I abandoned it. I'm not counting it as a bail. It wasn't for me. And the more recently published one, Fu Ping, has a very low rating on Goodreads. So yeah, anyway, I'm interested in that writer, but I don't think I'm interested in her writing. But I am feeling great. The weather's good, and I'm feeling good. And Kenji has been working so hard. Just a little bit personal to finish. Kenji's been working so hard that I see him for lunch on Sunday, and that's it. We had that lovely week, 10 days of togetherness in Canada, and then he hit the ground running, and Sunday lunch, and that's it. But last weekend he took the weekend off, and he says he's going to take this weekend off, so I'll actually get to see my husband for more than a lunch out. Anyway, that's it. I hope you've had a great reading week, and I expect a full report down there. Thanks for watching.